Good morning, everybody. Today, we are going to talk about the canon, the ideology, and its assessment. English is becoming the language of the world, and its importance is increasing day by day. We notice that there are different types of books published every year, and they form a certain category or a group. Now, the word canon is being used for a set of or a body of texts whose understanding forms the literary set up of a group who is studying English literature. In the beginning, or we can say before some years, the word canon was used by the church authorities, and it referred to a set of principles that were beyond any kind of questioning. We can say that these were the books containing set of rules which were prescribed by the church as holy books. Similarly, as the time passed, conditions changed, and the meaning of the word canon also changed. Now, while studying about canon formation, we must understand the context of England because of the reason that our canon is a transformed form of the first world. Basically, the canonical ideas came from Macaulay and Arnold, F.R. Lewis, and T.S. Eliot. Now, the formation of canon was the result of the thinking and analyses of various educationists, critics, and authors. Now, due to the emergence of two groups, the privileged and the middle class. Now, education as well as literature came into the hands of the upper class, who were few in number and had a very limited kind of thinking. But when the middle class also became educated, they also craved for a kind of coming in the category of the elite. Now the society was divided into distinct two classes, the upper class and the middle class, because the lower class was still far from being educated. Now, these two classes of the society, they had a conflict among them to occupy the significant position. Those who knew English literature, those who studied English literature, especially the classical literature, they wanted to prove their superiority on the middle class. But the middle class was also not willing to take a back seat. Now, the privileged class wished their domination over the educational field, whereas the middle class wanted the spread of education to more and more people. They had their own interests. The privileged group wanted to take away and retain power with the help of education, whereas on the other side, the middle class also wanted to gain power. Therefore, canon was formed and renovated, or you can say changed and shaped according to the needs of both the groups, the upper class as well as the middle class. However, the problem of culture remained unsolved. And here we should remember a quotation by Arnold, "The highly instructed few and not the scantily instructed many will ever be the organ of human race of knowledge and truth." Knowledge and truth, in its full sense of words, are not attainable by the great mass of human race at all. Another factor which helped in the canon formation was Newbolt's report of 1921. The report was made very carefully and conscientiously by the English establishment. The title was "The Teaching of English in England." In it, the priority was given to the goals and objectives of the course, and the cultural and literary needs of the imperial masses were clearly mentioned in it. According to the report, to every child in this country, it means England, there is one language with which he must necessarily be familiar, and by that alone, he has the power of drawing directly from one of the great literatures of the world. This report worked at two levels. Due to the national awareness, every country and society was aware of its cultural identity. The British tried to impose English as a global language against French. Newbolt presented English as the language of the world. Another factor which helped in the formation of canon was influence of great literary figures, or you can say authors, like T.S. Eliot and F.R. Lewis. Now, T.S. Eliot belonged to the aristocratic class, whereas Lewis to the middle class. Now, the reason of formation of canon by Lewis was that he wanted to make his class the sensitive middle class, but he didn't spread it to the masses. So his thinking remained limited. The ideas of scrutiny by Lewis were liked by the people due to its liberal policy, especially by the bourgeois. This is the reason for the students' attention towards Lewis's thinking. Now, another feature noticeable as far as Lewis is concerned, now he was the first person to speak about or to draw the attention of people between or to the connection existing between literature and criticism. Before him, hardly anyone related both, and they had remained undefined for a long period. Now, we can see that these two authors, F.R. Lewis and T.S. Eliot, were responsible to a great extent as far as the formation of canon is concerned. Now, another fact which we should keep in mind is the effect of canon on the third world. English language worked in two ways. On one side, English language study for a long time continued the concept or the myth of Englishness, and on the other, it encouraged the natives to behave like English. The image of colonialism always put the ruler superior to the native. In all those countries where English colonies were set up, the myth of Englishness was continued to be created for the reason that the native or the other can never perfect the language. As a proof, we can have the views of Macaulay, who has said the Indians would become a class of persons, Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions and morals, and in intellect. The languages of Western Europe, civilized Russia, I cannot doubt that they will do for the Hindu what they have done for the Tatar. Now we find that the objective of teaching English was not of perfecting Indians as far as the study of English language was concerned. It was to just encourage people to learn this language in order to be able to help the British government. Now, the English language associated with the colonial agenda is a statement which is self-contradictory. It played an important role in establishing a relation between the English and the Indian society. So it functioned as a connecting link between the rulers and the ruled. It puts the feelings of literacy in Indians only in the case of getting proficiency and the language, in the language, for creating the Babu culture. The British government wanted to just enable the Indians to work as Babus or the clerks. The Indians started thinking that if they become efficient or they become capable of reading and writing English and speaking English, then only they would be called literate. For the Indians, education meant being able to speak, read, and write English. On the other hand, there was a great difference created between the privileged one and the lower classes by putting English over the native. A reading of English literature, or you can say a study of English literature, ensured a place within the larger canon in society. Third world, the place of power. English was, in a way, indirectly, a synonym of power, or you can say high social status. In the third world, canon has spread its wings all over. In the present day situation, familiarity with English language has become a symbol of high status, a ladder of success. To know English means you are capable of getting a very good position, not only in the field of education, but also in the field of employment. Now, a course in English has acquired a literacy value not only to any particular place or region, but at the global level. With the advent of multinationals, with the change of the world, as a global village, we can say that the introduction and the growth of English education has changed the scenario totally. Even those who cannot afford to send their children to the schools that charge high fees, they just want to do so by just sending their children in English medium schools so that they can achieve success or they can reach a good position. First world universities have influence over third world universities. Third world tries to copy the syllabi, the curriculum, the methods, and the techniques of the first world universities with a desire to be able to reach to their equality, or you can say just to make a progress so that they should not be considered backward in any way. Now, we have to be very careful while designing a course of English, because the cultural background has also to be kept in mind. Now, we want to learn English, and it is true that English is known to Indians because there was a kind of close relation between the various languages of India and English, as English was the language of the rulers, and they wanted to just prove that they were capable of just learning this language as perfectly as the British. Now, in every field we find there is a need of the people who can speak English fluently, and those who do not know this language, they consider themselves to be just deficient in some ways, though they may have knowledge about many subjects, but the inefficiency as far as their inefficiency as far as English is concerned, it does give them a kind of inferiority complex. One thing must be kept in mind, that the need is for adopting English syllabus according to our own context, which would be more beneficial. It is appreciable that our university teachers are proficient in English as well as in Hindi or Urdu or Punjabi or Marathi, in writings as well as in translation. So the impact of canon could be clearly seen on the third world. The canon is an entity that has long-lasting effects. Another major point is the relation between canon formation and economic systems. If we don't talk about it, we'll be making some kind of mistake, because language or literature and society, they are closely related. Whatever happens in society has its stamp on the literature that is produced. Earlier, it was agrarian society. Then came industrialization. And then came another kind of commercialization, making the whole world commercially or from the trade point of view linked. And therefore, the changed time has made it very essential to know not only one foreign language, but as many as possible. The advantage to Indians is that English is, for them to learn English is very easy. And therefore, the Indians are interested in opting for English literature at the university level, at the college level, and not only this, those who do not study English literature, even they want to learn something the way the language works. So we find that the changing economy has also has also put its impact upon the learning of English and the kind of literature that is written. It does have the effect of the economic systems. So we can say that the ideology and assumptions of the canon is the product of the time. And there are so many kinds of books being written and being published that not only widen our horizon about only one field, but the various fields that are coming up. And if we do not have knowledge about them, we cannot say that we are educated. So, knowledge of English is essential because it has become the lingua franca. And when we talk about English literature, we have to be acquainted with the different kinds of texts that are coming out, because if we really want to be called educated, it is necessary for us to have the knowledge about the different canons. And that is why it is essential that we are acquainted with the ideology and assumptions of the canon. I think today it's enough, and we may continue to talk about it later on. Thank you.